Good afternoon, good morning if you're on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us today, this Sunday. We're really excited to have this unique presentation, Eat, Sleep, and Breathe Binghamton, all things Binghamton. We've got myself, my name is Carrie Feierabend. I'm one of our admissions counselors here at Binghamton. I'm also a Binghamton alum. I lived on campus all 4 years. I am accompanied by another one of our admissions counselors who was a transfer student herself and is an alum, as well as two current students. So we're really excited to kind of give you a different experience. And we know that everyone is kind of zoomed out right now, and we don't want to talk at you. We want to talk with you. We want this to feel like you're going to a real visit at Binghamton as much as we can. We've got this really neat feature that Binghamton has just acquired. It's called Campus 360. We've got beautiful 360-degree views of our campus and inside the buildings. So we're hoping to give you a really, really great presentation and a great tour of our campus over the next 45 minutes or so. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Stephanie, who is going to be controlling our pictures on the back end, and then we'll introduce our students and we'll get started. So Steph, go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Carrie. Well, as Carrie said, my name is Stephanie Swim. I am also an admissions counselor here at Binghamton. And as she mentioned, I am also a transfer student. So I pursued business as my undergraduate here at Binghamton. And then I went on to graduate school to pursue a Master of Public Administration. And here I am in higher ed. They couldn't get rid of me. Now I'm a staff member. So I'm definitely a Binghamton University supporter, big avid supporter. So today I will be handling the back end chat and kind of controlling the screen. We have something really fun planned, as Carrie pointed out. It's going to be kind of an interactive tour. So you guys are going to get to kind of, because you're not able to come to campus right now with the current climate, you're going to be able to, use this day and this session as kind of a nice interactive tour. So it hopefully kind of mimics what the experience you would have if you came to campus, certainly. So I'm going to stop talking now and turn it over to the folks that you really want to hear from, our current students. Let's start with Erin. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Erin.
Sure thing. Hi guys, my name's Erin Kelly. I'm a junior here at Binghamton University. I'm double majoring in environmental studies with an ecosystems track as well as a biology major. I am the secretary of the beekeeping club here at Binghamton. I'm also a Friends of the Nature Preserve, and I'm also an ambassador for the school. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
All right, everyone. My name is Marcus Groger. I am a sophomore here at Binghamton from Rochester, New York. I'm double majoring in integrative neuroscience and linguistics. And my involvement on campus is that I just finished up my last semester of the first year research immersion program. I am the public relations coordinator for the Binghamton Student Ambassadors. And I'm also a part of NeuroSci, which is the National Honor Society for Neuroscience.
Great. Thank you so much. So we really, as we've kind of mentioned, we want this to be an informal conversation. We want you to feel like you are on a tour with us. We don't want to feel like we're talking at you. So please feel free to throw questions in that question and answer at any time. We'll address you directly. If we don't get to them, we would like to get to them at the end. I know some people have submitted questions ahead of time as well, and we want to make sure that we get to all of those. So we're going to go ahead and start off here in our Peace Quad. These photos were all taken just this past summer on a beautiful summer day. So this is our lovely Peace Quad students will get here together to throw a Frisbee around or even just sit in the grass and study. It's a great place for our students to just come and be able to gather. We've got picnic tables for students to visit. And in the background there, you can see our clock tower, our library tower, our fine arts building as Stephanie pans around, as well as our administration building, which is where the president's office is. And if students are working on campus, that may be where students go to pick up their checks. So this is kind of a really, really great place to start. You can see those paw prints. Those will lead you to our admissions center if you do come on campus to visit. So Binghamton is kind of unique in that it is situated such that we have what's called the brain. And inside the brain, where this Peace Quad is and a lot of our other academic buildings, are all of the study spaces and the academic spaces on campus. And outside of the brain are all of our residential communities and our different dorming communities. So the Peace Quad is our first stop. And after this, we are going going to go ahead to some of our residential communities to get a feel for what our residential communities look like. So we're going to take a look over at our Newing Quad first. Binghamton has 5 different residential communities on campus. 4 of these are our undergraduate communities, and then we've also got apartment communities for our upperclassmen. So myself and actually Marcus both lived in our Newing community here. And if you see, these are some of the buildings on campus. There are 4 different residential halls on campus in the Newing community. And this is kind of a similar structure for all of our residence halls, but they actually each have their own identity. They have their own kind of histories and cultures, and they have their own dorming styles. So if we go to our Newing model room next after Stephanie pans through this, you can see each place has a quad where students can kind of just get together, not even for intramural sports, but just for pickup sports. And then inside the dorms, you will be able to see what an actual dorm looks like. And Marcus, I'm going to ask if you could share your experience a little bit about living in Newing and what that was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So as an incoming first year student at Binghamton, I knew suite style was not something that I felt ready for. So I love the option that we had as first year students to decide what kind of living style we wanted. So yeah, I was in Newing. Another thing that is really nice about Newing is that there's private bathrooms to share amongst some of the other rooms. It's not public bathrooms. That was something else that I thought was extremely daunting about college at first. So got to avoid that problem altogether. So I was with one roommate. And the good thing about Newing, and is very common amongst all the other living communities, is that you really get close with everyone in your floor and in your building. I know a lot of my friends to this day were all from my floor. So if you're worried about making friends on campus and how difficult of a process that can be, that the living communities are set up for success in that area.
Yeah, Marcus, I will mimic that and say I kind of had the same experience. I wanted to meet everyone on the floor, and having that corridor style for us meant that you could keep your door open and you could get to meet everyone else on your floor. People would just stop by, say hi. And I think it's something that I've heard from other students at Binghamton that's kind of unique for Binghamton. I have a sister who goes to a different school, and it's kind of corridor style, but she's like, we don't keep our doors open, and it doesn't really feel like camaraderie feel. And we never got that experience at Binghamton. We always had such a close-knit floor. And there are different options for choosing living styles too. So I myself chose a chem-free option, meaning all the students there chose, there weren't no drugs, no alcohol, and that was something that we specifically chose. There are also quiet dorming situations that you can choose when you go to choose housing. So lots of different options to make sure that students feel supported in their living situation. We want you to be comfortable when you come here on campus, knowing that you're going to be living here at the very least your very first year. First year housing is guaranteed for all of our first year students. And Binghamton has a great process when students are admitted to make sure that they can find a roommate that maybe has the same ideals as them, same living styles, living patterns, to make sure there aren't as many clashes once students get here and are able to live on campus. So that's something that's really important. We want to make sure that our students feel comfortable and safe in their living environment. So we're going to switch over to another different residential community. I mentioned there are 5 of them on campus. This next one is CIW College in the Woods. It is one of our oldest oldest residential communities on campus, and this one is a suite style. So you can see it's got a woodsy feel. There's lots of trees here. It's a beautiful walk if you kind of step down through, and it does kind of feel like it's just set into the mountainside here. And we're going to have Erin help us talk through what a suite style looks like. She didn't live in CIW, but she did live in Hinman, which also is a suite style community, to get an idea of what a suite style is compared to that corridor style and what the differences are, and perhaps what you would experience in the various living styles there. So Erin, what would you say is something that you could kind of expand on in terms of a suite style?
Sure thing. So basically the deal with a suite style is that you have 2 to 3 rooms within a suite. And there's 2 beds within each room. So you have you and your dorm mate, and then you have your suite mates in the other rooms. Each of the rooms are connected by this little common area that you can see right here. And and if you have like a nice group, you can kind of get together and decorate the area and make it feel really homey. I definitely feel like if you end up living in a suite area, your suite ends up becoming a really tight community, especially for your freshman year. I know, especially with Hinman, the suite style just worked so well because not only did you get to make friends with everyone in your suite, I personally felt like by making friends within my suite, I felt more comfortable expanding to the other areas within my floor. I remember distinctly going around introducing myself to everyone. Everyone had their doors open, kind of like what Marcus and Carrie mentioned. Heyman had a very it wasn't a strict open door policy, but like you generally kept your door open and people would just kind of come over and hang out and you do your work together. And it was just a lot of fun making sure, and you got to rely on each other too. Like if classes started to get really rough, for example, Chem 107 was a class that a lot of people on my floor took. And when it became like when an assignment was due and testing was starting to get a little bit rough, we would just gather together in our dorm and just work on it together. So having this suite style, having dorming the way it is on Binghamton, it creates a real sense of community, and you just kind of create a little family for yourself while you're away from your actual family.
Erin, you touched on something so great. We talked about, what the dorms look like and some of those, real life stories. We have these learning communities, and I know Hinman has one that, students who are all interested in perhaps it's environmental studies within CIW can kind of take classes together. But even outside of those learning communities, Binghamton's residential communities lend themselves to becoming little neighborhoods where you do get together with other students who are taking the same course, and those really do become your tight knit, close people, even if you only see them in your dorm. It really does feel like you become a family. You don't have to be part of a learning community or an honors program to find a home or a niche at Binghamton. You kind of automatically get that whenever you begin living in one of these residential communities. And I think that's one of the really unique things about Binghamton that makes Binghamton students so happy here. It's one of the things that I think keeps our retention rate up is because students really find their home here at Binghamton. So I don't know if either of you have anything else that you would like to touch on as far as dorming goes or particular traditions or events that you've experienced within your communities before we move on to some dining things. Marcus, do you have anything to add?
Just on the topic of traditions, each living community kind of has their niche when it comes to traditions. So, but one that all the communities share together is co-rec. So it's in the fall, it's football, like tag football. And as someone that didn't want to participate, I would still go to all the games that my friends would be playing in. And it's a real sense of camaraderie, and you meet people that you wouldn't even expect across different communities. So yeah, that just made me smile when you said traditions, because that's definitely something that I experienced too.
Yes. I see a couple more questions here on the topic of dorms. So before we move on, are dorms separated by grades or mixed altogether? So they are mixed together. There are certain dorms that you can choose that are first year only, but the majority are mixed. So you may be with other sophomores, you may be with students who are transfer students, and it really gives you an ability to meet different kinds of people. Erin, I know you were going to maybe touch on LGBT and those
Mhm.
questions that students have, so maybe you can touch on that as well as just being an inclusive community for all different types of diverse students.
Mhm. Yeah, actually, in my freshman and sophomore year, both me and my roommate are gay, and my roommate is actually open as gender fluid as well. Within Hinman, we never felt any sort of pressure to change the way that we act around our other classmates and stuff like that. There was no like fear that we would get insulted or anything like that just by existing. It really, you just feel safe when you're on campus. There's no real need to be afraid, especially when you have a very strong community. Binghamton has a lot of resources on campus if you are trans or LGBT in any way, shape, or form. One of my personal favorite places to go is the Q Center, which is in the library on the ground floor. It's just a nice little area where you can like get together, interact with other queer people, and just kind of get to exist and relax and not have to worry about upholding any sort of standard that other people may hold you to. It's just nice and it's comforting and stuff.
Great, thank you. Steph, I see there are a few more questions. Are there any that you would like to address before we continue on here?
Yes, thank you so much, Carol. Make sure my mute is off. I wanted to make sure you could hear me. So yes, I'm looking at some of the questions we have here, and I just really quick questions and answers that I wanted to address before we move on. So I had a question about kind of related to residential life and kind of what a first year experience is like. And I had a question if freshmen are allowed to have cars on campus, and the short answer is no, they are not allowed to have cars on campus. But what's nice about that, after your first year, you can have a car if you are so inclined or you choose to do so. But Binghamton has a really great transportation system. So many universities and colleges, parking is a pain. It's busy. There's not a lot of spots. You have a large undergraduate and graduate population on campus, as well as staff and faculty that have to park. So sometimes it's nice to not have to bring your car on campus, even if you can have what you will be able to have on your first year. So transportation here at Binghamton with your student ID, you can ride both the Binghamton city buses as well as our university buses for free. And it's an excellent infrastructure for transportation, one of the best I've ever seen at a university or college. So it stops at multiple places on and off campus, downtown Binghamton, as well as different living communities on campus, as well as living communities off campus. There's a lot of private communities available to students off campus as well. So we really do a great job of providing that service for our students. And many students decide not to bring a car on campus because, we've done such a wonderful job for transportation, and what's available to them. So, just something to think about. What else do we have here?
I was going to say, so even within the campus itself, there was a question about our dorm communities far from the academic buildings. Some are farther than others, so some are very close, and you get to choose as a first year student. They are all co-ed dorms and co-ed floors, but within the rooms are not co-ed and the suites are not co-ed. So there is some separation there, but you can choose to live in a community that you think works better for you. And even those communities, we have a bus system, a shuttle bus system that goes within the campus on top of what Stephanie mentioned, those city buses and bus transportation systems that go around the Binghamton area. So you may live in Mountain View, which is actually the next stop up on our walk if Steph, we want to transition to that walk up to Mountain View from CIW. That it may be a little bit further away from campus, but we do have the shuttles that will bring you right down. A couple other quick questions I'd like to address here. So electricity, water, and heat are included in your dorming fee. It's one fee. It's unlimited. It's all included as part of your housing fee. So there's not kind of a pay as you use. It's just one fee for the semester. Well, I could touch on the bathrooms quickly. I know, for example, Newing, as Marcus mentioned, they are private bathrooms, but you actually have two separate rooms. You have a room that has a shower and a sink, and then a room that has a toilet and a sink. So there's not kind of this issue of waiting to use the bathroom if someone's in the shower. Those are two separate rooms that are available for 6 people for 3 different rooms, especially in Newing. So there's plenty of use. There's also public bathrooms and restrooms on the very first floor to use. So there's never an issue. And most of these dorms are relatively up to date. They're constantly making improvements, and especially, Newing, Dickinson, Mountain View, a lot of these have been renovated within the last 20 years, and so they're very up to date, and we try to keep them energy efficient. Binghamton is really big on sustainability, as Erin is going to touch on here in just a little bit. As we see this view from CIW there, and Stephanie can pan around, we can see this is a really beautiful walk, and it kind of gives you an idea of the serenity that is Binghamton, especially as we go up to Mountain View. And then we're going to take a little peek at our nature preserve, which is one of the hidden gems at Binghamton, something that I didn't take nearly as much advantage of when I was a student. But Erin would love to talk to us more about it. I know she said you're friends of the nature preserve and part of the sustainability community at Binghamton too. So the nature preserve is one of the ways that Binghamton is really working to be a sustainable campus and trying to preserve energy and do everything we can to have more research in that kind of sustainability field. So Erin, maybe you can touch on some of your favorite things about the nature preserve before we get into dining options.
Sure thing. So the nature preserve is a very large portion of the university. If we can get a good view here, you can see all of the different types of flora out there, the different trees, And it's a great area for when you just want to get outside and like get hiking. We have a lot of different trails. Each of them have different levels of difficulty. So if you're a new timer to any hiking stuff, you can easily go with like a group of friends and hike along the pond trail. That's a very simple trail. If you have a little bit more experience, you can hike all the way to the top of the nature preserve by taking the oak trail and just taking it up. You can see all different kinds of views on campus. You can see all different kinds of views within the nature preserve. Types of animals as well. Especially the deer. There's a lot of deer within the preserve. And yeah, it's just a very gorgeous area. There's Wi-Fi within the preserve, so if you ever just kind of want to go in there, plop yourself down on one of the benches we have in there and do some work, it's a great area for that as well. Um, and yeah, it's just a wonderful area. And if you ever get the chance, I highly recommend that you check it out whenever possible.
It's almost like having a state park in your backyard when you're going to campus, which is really great because sometimes you just need a break from the academic studies, and nature is such a great way to unwind and just relieve yourself of the pressures of study. So it's definitely a really unique feature of Binghamton and something that we are very proud of at Binghamton to still have this nature preserve so many years later. So we are going to move on to some of our dining options. I know that the dining is always a big question. What is the food like? So we'll show a little view of our outside of one of our dining halls, our Appalachian Dining Hall. This is part of our Mountain View College, but as we kind of mentioned with these residential communities, each of our communities has their own dining hall option. So actually Newing and Dickinson share a dining hall, but then you've got Appalachian is part of our Mountain View. We have our Hinman Dining Hall. We have a CIW Dining Hall. And then we do have retail options as well. So Erin, maybe you can touch on some of our dining hall options, and then we'll go down to our marketplace and show some of our retail options.
Sure thing. So I can start with the Appalachian Dining Hall right here. It's a great area if you want to get good burritos. They have a little taco area in the back right corner. In that area, you can get burritos, you can get rice bowls, all kinds of stuff with so many different types of toppings. It's very good. App also has a pasta bar in that same area. And on Tuesdays, I remember they had mac and cheese bars during that time, and honestly, very good food. I definitely recommend that you check this place out. Not to say all of the other areas are very good as well. Mountain View is just one of my personal favorites. Moving on, we have C4. C4 has a kosher corner. So if you're trying to keep kosher, great place to go. It also has a halal station. It's also got this little grill area with a rotating menu. Oh, and something I forgot to mention before was that both C4 and Mountain View have this thing called Nowl, which whenever you're out late at night studying with friends and stuff and you want to grab some greasy junk food, Nowl's the place you go, and you get milkshakes, all kinds of fried food. It's delicious and amazing. Definitely recommend you check it out.
Perfect study diet.
Obviously, I mean, of course, especially during finals. You want those warm cookies during finals. Speaking of warm cookies, CIW is another area. It has a very good barbecue, and it also has warm cookies that they keep under these giant lights to keep them nice and toasty. And last but not least, we have Hinman. Hinman is unfortunately under construction right now, but the renovations that it's going is going to make it an even better community once it comes back. But yeah, that's kind of everything.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. So I see a few questions here, and I want to address them so that Marcus can answer them as we move into our marketplace. So if I were to live at CIW, am I obligated to only eat at CIW's dining hall? Can I go to another one if I'm in a rush somewhere? Is all the food covered by my meal plan? Are all dining halls available to students? Marcus, give us your spiel.
All right. So as Erin mentioned, all of the dining halls are going to have like the normal options that you'd expect each night. But what Erin really highlighted was the specialties of each of the dining halls. And you're not obligated to go to the one in your living community. So like Erin said, if you're kosher, but even though you don't live in Newing or Dickinson, you can definitely go to C4, which is their dining hall, and get those options as well. Another thing that I really appreciate about our dining halls here on campus is that we don't use meal swipes. So I know the schools that my brothers went to, they have 2 swipes per day, which doesn't make sense because there's 3 meals in a day. So what Binghamton actually does is that you have money saved on an account, and each option on campus in the dining halls are going to be reduced. So say I'm running to class in the morning and I don't want to waste a meal swipe just to grab a bagel. I can grab a bagel for 60 cents and then there's my breakfast, and I don't have to feel guilty about wasting a swipe and wasting that money for a bagel. And then what is on the screen right now, this is going to be our marketplace. So this is going to be totally aside from the dining halls, and this is going to be more of our retail dining. And here there's endless options. We got a Subway, a Boar's Head, their place called Chicken Bap, which is almost like a Chipotle in a sense. There's Tully's, which is going to be chicken tenders as their main specialty. And now I'm from upstate New York, so we have Tully's up here. So that's my little slice of home on campus, which I really, really appreciate. Then we have Mogul, which is going to be rice and like some really good foods. We have sushi. We have Copper Top, which is pizzas and pasta. So, and then Cake and Eggs, which is highlighted on the screen as well. That's going to be rotating specialties. So some nights I do burgers and onion rings. Some nights I do nachos. So there's endless options here. And the prices are going to be a little bit more than dining halls, but definitely does not break the bank still. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, there's lots of options.
And the nice thing that Marcus, you kind of mentioned, so those dining dollars, it's basically like a debit card. You start with the amount of money that you've got for the total semester, and it just deducts for that 60-cent bagel that you need to rush with to your morning class, or you can grab a full meal at the marketplace, and it's going to be retail prices, but it's going to come off your dining dollars just the same. So you can always add money to it anytime during the semester. If you don't use all the money, it does roll over to the next semester. Very, very flexible as far as the meal plans are concerned. We want to make sure that you're not wasting your money. It's part of what makes Binghamton affordable and gives us that great value. You're stretching your dollar and you're able to use it anywhere you want on campus. As you mentioned, the kosher corner, that's in Newing specifically, but from that kosher corner, we do have some meals that are, taken over to our Hinman dining hall or our Mountain View dining hall, so that there are other options for students who may not want to go all the way to Newing just to have a kosher meal. So we really do try to accommodate all different students. We also have 2 registered dietitians on campus. So students who have any dietary issues, they can certainly work with our dietitians to make sure that their needs are met. So there's lots and lots of different ways that students can make sure that they're able to eat whatever you want, wherever you want, whether it's down in that brain that I talked about at the beginning, or at your local resident hall, or if you want to go across campus to eat with your friends from a different class and they live in Newing and you live in Hinman. The world is your oyster. You really can do anything at Binghamton, and it's really, really great to have the flexibility without having to do that meal swipe, as Marcus mentioned. So next, we're going to move into a little bit about student life. Our University Union Undergrounds is a place that was just recently renovated last year. It's a great place for students to go in the evenings, on the weekends, to hang out, just to have fun. A really, really neat place. You can see we've got a bowling alley down here. We've got billiards. We've got lots of different study spaces. So Aaron and Marcus, maybe you guys want to just touch upon this a little bit, and what would you come to the Union for and make the most of your time down there?
Something about the Union is that it's going to be smack dab in the middle of campus. So I know it's newly renovated. It's a great place to kind of meet your friends to do work without feeling obligated to hike somewhere else on campus. So if you have friends in CIW and you're in Newing, this is a great place to meet up, but not having to trek to the library or one of the other study places on campus. And it's quiet, it's not loud, but it's also not super loud. So if you just want to get some work done casually, this is definitely the place to go.
It's also good if you want to go bowling. As you can see back there, we have a big old bowling alley. So if you ever just want to take a break after a big test or something like that, this is definitely a good place to just hang out with your friends and just chill for a bit. Upstairs. Oh, well, we'll be talking about the Tillman stuff later. But yeah, it's just a good area to hang out. Oh, and there's also a billiards table over there, if you can see back there. So there's plenty of different activities that you can do.
I know that they also have, late night Binghamton, which is a kind of an
Mhm.
office in itself that has funding for student programming specifically on weekend nights. I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday nights from like 11 p.m. to 2 and 3 a.m. for students who just, want to stay on campus and really want to hang out. They had open mic nights when I was a student. They had viewings of movies, and so lots of different options for students to be still on campus and be able to have fun without leaving campus on the weekends is something that is really attractive to students, as well as having those billiards and those bowling alleys open until all hours. We know the life of a student and undergraduate students and the hours that our students are up, and students want to be able to take a break and relieve their stress. And so we really try to accommodate for those students and make sure that they have the ability to relax and enjoy their weekends, just like you would at home. So we really utilize this space for a lot of different purposes. Next, we're going to move up to our Tillman lobby. So our lobby, in the lobby, you're going to see some tables, and Marcus is going to maybe touch a little bit on tabling that our student clubs and organizations do. We have over 450 different student clubs and organizations. And then Erin's going to talk a little bit about what it's kind of been like during the COVID time. So Marcus, maybe you want to start, and then we'll move over to Erin.
Right. So, like I kind of said earlier, the union is going to be smack dab in the middle of classes. So, you're in and out of there all the time when you go to campus. So, you can almost see some of the tables set up in there right now. So, every single day, and there will be different student organizations set up, kind of promoting what they're doing. If it's Greek Life or other student organizations, they may be doing fundraisers for various charities, bake sales, stuff like that. As part of student organizations, I have tabled myself. It's not intimidating at all, and it's very open, and it's a great way to find a way to get involved, but not have to look very hard. On that subject, if you are looking for a specific club or organization that might suit you, we have something called Be Engaged, which is basically a database for all student organizations we have on campus. So you don't have to look very hard. I know it's very good if you're looking for something specific, but don't know how you would find it any other way. So for me, if I was looking for a way to find more neuroscience opportunities because I'm a neuroscience major, all you have to do is go to that website and type in neuroscience, and then 3 options may pop up with those specific options. I know there's a cheese club. I know there's a fashion runway club. So there's really anything. And if there's nothing that you find that really calls your name, you're allowed to make your own club. That's a process that we do have on campus as well.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I know I actually did start a club when we were on campus as well. You said Cheese Club. We've got a horseback riding club, lots of different a cappella groups, but also pre-professional programs. And Marcus mentioned Be Engaged to search for neuroscience. Not only are you going to find clubs and organizations that have that, but also guest lectures or guest speaker series or academic things that students might want to attend to kind of broaden their horizons too. So that Be Engaged is a really great resource for students on campus to build your extracurricular CV or your extracurricular resume while on campus to beef up anything outside of that academic circle. So something that our Binghamton students are very good at. Erin, why don't you chat a little bit about how the lobby has kind of looked during COVID times? We don't want to jade people. We know what's going on right now, and Binghamton has done an excellent job of working hard to make sure that we are doing screening testing. We tested every single one of our students before they moved into campus this fall. So what has that looked like for you guys as you've been students this fall?
Sure thing. So basically, the way Binghamton has been handling COVID, the way they do it is that it's a lottery system, and you get randomly selected in order to get a rapid results test. So what this means is you come onto campus, if you're off campus, or you go to the union here in this Tillman lobby. And if we can just like scroll over a little bit to the right, if that's possible, you can see the Mandela room over on the left there. You go into that room, very easy line. There's hand sanitizer places where you basically wash your hands quick before you go in. You wait 6 feet apart from all of the other people getting tested, which generally the times I've gone, I haven't had to wait more than like 5 minutes to get a test. So it's not a ton of people at once. You also have like an hour blocked off, so you can go within an hour. So you go in there, you wait. You get yourself signed in. You get onto another line while you wait to get your test. And it's a very simple procedure. The person having you take the test gives you the swab. You do it yourself under their instruction, and you're done. You hand it back to them, and you literally get the results within the half hour. It's a very quick, very easy process. And it's really just good to know, so that way you're able to keep the Binghamton community safe.
Thank you. Yeah, Binghamton has done a really extraordinary job of working hard to do preventative testing, as you mentioned, with that lottery system, as well as testing the water in certain areas on campus and in the dining halls and in residential communities, just to make sure that we're trying to keep things as low as possible, so that students can have those in-campus and in-person experiences, especially for, labs and certain things that it's really difficult to do virtually. Trying to prioritize those to make sure that those students can get the results that they need. So we're going to move a little bit into our study and academic areas now. This is our spine. Again, a really beautiful area of campus. This would be to the left is the walkway from the Union. They both mentioned is central to campus. And then if you kind of see our Bartle Library here, to the right of that is going to be our lecture hall and a lot of the different places where you're going to take a majority of your classes, and the classroom wing over there. So this is another really great central location where students are going to be walking through in your day-to-day from going to classes in the fine arts building, even if they're not fine arts related. That's where a lot of our smaller classroom sizes are held. Our science buildings that you can see down there as Stephanie scrolls around. Again, beautiful, beautiful just lawn areas for students to sit at and study at all through the fall, especially when things warm up in the spring, and those benches. Places that students, even during COVID times, are able to go to and just sit outdoors and study together, to make the most of the beautiful, beautiful campus we have. You can see the rolling hills in the background. This is one of my favorite places to just take in the views, especially on a beautiful summer or spring or fall day. So after this, we're going to move over to our fine arts building. As Stephanie swings around, you can see our fine arts building here, and we'll take a look at one of our 4 different theaters that we have. This is our largest theater. It's our Osterhout Concert Theater, and it seats about 2,000 people. So very, very large theater capacity you can see here. The really neat thing about Binghamton, and I could speak with a little bit of experience myself, I was a music minor at Binghamton, but you don't have to be a music major or a music minor to get involved in the music programs on campus. So of course we have, the student clubs and a cappella groups and things, but we also have a wonderful university orchestra and professional choruses. You do not have to be in the music department or a music major to join those. I sang with our chorus, and you've got students who are math majors and biology majors and engineering majors and music majors, and all make beautiful music together. Same thing with our university wind ensemble. Lots and lots of different ways that students can make sure that you're still getting involved musically if that's something you want to do. Same thing with our theater department. There are students who are theater majors, but there are students who are non-theater majors who participate in our large theater performances. In addition to our Osterhout Concert Theater, we also have a 400-person theater for a little more. It's our chamber hall, a little bit smaller, more intimate setting, as well as our main stage in the fine arts building. So 3 really big stages and then some smaller stages as well. So lots of ways that students can keep that artistic side flowing, even if you're a STEM major, or you just really have that passion for music. It's something that I found I really enjoyed about Binghamton, was the ability to have those cross disciplines, and again being able to just meet students of different backgrounds and different majors, but come together with a commonality, whether it's music, whether it's a pre-professional program, whether it's sustainability, anything that binds you together, but that's not the only thing that binds you together. Binghamton students have a multitude of different interests, and it's something that really makes Binghamton unique. So moving on from here, we're going to talk a little bit about our library. And Erin, perhaps you could kind of give us your favorite study spots on campus as we pan around and see the resources that we have for students, various computer pods that students can use, and the printing system, and how these things all work. But Erin, what are your thoughts on your favorite study places?
Sure thing. Definitely one of my favorite places to study is the library at Binghamton. One of the things about it is that there is a cafe on the first floor. It's the Jasmine's Cafe, and you got so many different options of coffee and pastries and stuff. So whenever you know that you're going to be spending a long day doing just a bunch of studying, you can go down, you can grab yourself one of my personal favorites is a peppermint mocha. You grab it and you just go and you knock out all your studying. And I personally like having a little bit of background noise whenever I study, just as like white noise. So my personal favorite places to study are on the second floor. If you go up the stairs and look to the right, the first area you see is the information commons. This area is very good because you have a little bit of background noise since below the area is the printing section. And there's also computers within the information commons as well. So you're able to so if you don't have access to a computer or anything like that, you can just go to one of the computers and do your work from there. I also really enjoy using the South Study Lounge. If you go up those same stairs and look to the left, it's within the corner right there. It's literally labeled South Study Lounge. Great little area. It's got a bunch of booths and seating, so that way you can get together with friends or even just work on your own, doing your own thing. It's a very chill environment. If you need silence though while you're studying, the library's also got you covered. You can use the third and fourth floors on the in the library in order to study. It's all quiet areas and like dead quiet, like you can hear a pin drop. Um, so that's very useful if you don't like having a lot of noise. Something to also note is that within the library, you can actually reserve rooms. During COVID, right now these rooms can only be used by one person at a time. But during non-COVID times, these rooms can be used if you have a big group project that you need to work on. I've also used those rooms when it's time to start studying for tests and your classmates are all gathering together in order to study. Very great to use, and I highly recommend that you utilize them once more group activities are able to commence.
Thank you, Erin. So we are just about ready to kind of finish up on our last few stops here before we get to some more of your questions. There's been some great questions. I hope you've been enjoying this tour as much as I have. So the next stop on our tour is our event center. Now, our event center is kind of a large multi-purpose area. We have everything from our commencement ceremonies that are held to here, our NCAA Division I athletics, like our basketball games are held here. When students were moving in during COVID and the beginning of the fall semester here, every single student who was moving on campus came to the event center to get their rapid test before moving into their dorm, and then got that text, like Erin said, within a half an hour of taking their test. And we did this, of course, because you can see the event center is a very large space, but it's a really great place to utilize for all these different big events that we have on campus, whether it's sports games, whether it's commencement or any types of various activities. So there's lots and lots of different ways that this event center is utilized, and we've made sure to utilize it, especially during COVID, and making sure that we can have the expansion that we need and the space to really spread out and make sure that everything is staying safe. Now, in addition to the event center, we've got some great athletic fields as well. Our athletic field for our Division I soccer team, I know they play some great soccer on this beautiful field here. And in that background, you can see our West Gym, which has one of our pools in it, where our swim team, they do their practices. I know that some classes are also held in there, and there's a gym in there as well for some other classes. So lots of space for our students to spread out and be able to get that sports experience. Now, in addition to this, we've also got our intramural fields. So lots of students also participate in intramurals or just in club sports. So we've got students to do club sports and travel together. I know one of my friends, when I was an undergrad, did rugby, and they had a club rugby team, and they traveled during the weekends. But these intramural fields are a really, really great quality, I think, for students who just want to play pickup games and kind of sign up to use them. And again, lots of space for our students to spread out and really be able to utilize their abilities. And again, a great way to relieve stress, just like that nature preserve. We want to make sure that students feel well-rounded when they're at Binghamton, and just like you would at home, and be able to participate in all those different activities that you would as you're at home. So Marcus, I'm going to turn it over to you to see if you have any thoughts about our intramural fields or the East Gym as we transition over to the gym.
Yeah, so the East Gym, now growing up, I was never one to go to the gym on my own. I was never really a fitness junkie, but being on campus, I found it was a really good way to make sure I stayed healthy, even with the stress of classes. But obviously, if you're not a fitness junkie, sometimes the gym can feel a little bit intimidating. But with the way that the Binghamton gym is set up, that totally disappeared for me. And as Stephanie is showing on the screen, this is like the right side of the gym where it's going to be more of the cardio equipment, some of the lighter weights, stuff like that, which is more where I would reside when I want to go to the gym. And on the other side, that's where you're going to have more of those heavy lifting equipment, stuff like that. So like I said, I would love to go to the gym and, do my own thing without feeling scared to do so. And included in that membership, that's something else to note, is that the membership is not required if you do not want it on campus. It's going to be an extra fee if you do want it. And just so kids that don't want it don't have to pay for it. Something else that's included with the membership, though, is fitness classes that they do host. Now, this is actually where I met a lot of my friends when I was a first-year student on campus. We did yoga together. There's like ab classes, stuff like that. Stuff you would never envision yourself doing at the time being, for me especially, but I just happened to love it and never looked back since. So yeah, would definitely recommend.
Yeah, I know Zumba classes, spin classes, all sorts of fun group classes. Even as a faculty member and a staff member, you can have memberships and join those classes as well. So it really is inclusive and it doesn't make you feel intimidated. Another thing that's really great as Stephanie swings around. So as Marcus mentioned, are not required to pay for the membership as part of your student fees and tuition. So it is an additional fee because you don't want to make every student have to pay for the membership if you're really not going to use it. However, if you're interested in utilizing the pool, that is free for students to use, especially during specific times and weekend times. So you don't have to have a membership if you'd like to go to the pool. I know my friends and I sometimes just for fun wanted to go and play around during free play, not to swim laps or anything, but just to have a good time. So again, great ways for students to relieve stress on campus, to just enjoy it and make the most of your time here at Binghamton. So that's our last stop on the tour. We're going to finish here at our admissions center. This is where you would have started the tour if you came with us to Binghamton and to be on campus together. We just wanted to give you a little view of what this looks like. And as Stephanie pans over there, you can see Mohawk, which is one of our dorming buildings. You can see the outside of the Union that Marcus and Aaron talked about here. And it gives a really great just idea of where you would be if you did come to us and visit us on campus. And so we're right about at got 13 minutes left to chat a little bit more about some of these questions that you have here. So first, I'm going to ask Aaron and Marcus to talk about how COVID has affected life on campus a little bit more than just your, we talked about the testing a little bit and what that looked like, but how has that affected you guys in terms of classes? Did you take classes in person? Did you have a hybrid model? What did that look like for you guys over this semester?
I was actually living off campus for this semester, but the way that kind of impacted me was that I only had one class that was in person, and that in-person class only occurred every other week. Other than that, I found that because of COVID, there weren't a ton of opportunities for me to come onto campus, especially since most of the activities that I was involved in, like club events and stuff like that, those generally were kept online. But even though they were online, it was still nice to know that we were still able to do them. Especially since, having that sort of stability really helps keep you sane during all this crazy stuff. So even though a lot of the events and stuff like that were moved online, I personally am just grateful that we were able to do them in the first place.
Right. So I'm kind of the opposite of Aaron. I was on campus. And of course, there were restrictions, but the restrictions never made anything disappear, if that makes sense. It was just adjusted so that it was more safe for everyone. So like I said in the beginning, I was a part of the first year research immersion program. And so I still had another semester of lab work, which I was still able to go to my lab, just at a reduced capacity, which I was very fortunate and glad I was able to do. In terms of social events, the RAs and the buildings put on weekly events. As Carrie had mentioned earlier, there's Late Night Binghamton. They were still putting on events, but they were all reduced capacity, make sure students were separated 6 feet apart. They would show movies, stuff like that. In terms of general student life, you could still go to the library, you could still go to the dining hall, but they have that separation of tables to make sure you're 6 feet apart. You could still see your friends, but they definitely had guidelines in place to make sure everyone was safe. And from as a non-biased opinion, I was glad that I was still able to see my friends because I was on campus. I would have been lonely without seeing them, but it also was nice to know that I was safe.
Yeah.
You keep your bubble small. As Erin had mentioned earlier, I got tested 4 times on campus. And it's really nice because with the lottery system that Erin had mentioned, some of your friends get tested weeks before, weeks after. So even though it's not confirmation for you specifically, if they tested negative, you would also sort of know that you were negative. So it's always good to have that reassurance.
Great, thank you. I'm going to jump, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but that's the nature of raising your hand and asking a question if we were in a tour group. So I'm going to look at a couple of these quick questions about the dining options. Do you have a juice bar? We do not have a juice bar, but we have a wonderful smoothie bar that I have taken much advantage of over my time as a student and a faculty member or a staff member here at Binghamton. So they do have, non-dairy smoothie options, but we do have a smoothie bar Red Mango, which has some wonderful options there, and salad bars. Each of our residential dining halls does have a salad bar. There's also a salad bar in the marketplace. Tales are that Mountain View has one of the best options for the salad bars. Now, of course, during COVID, our dining hall team and Sodexo is working very hard to make sure that everything is safe. So a lot of the meals are pre-packaged this semester, and students can order ahead of time and go ahead and pick up their meals. But that applies to the salads as well. So you can, pre-order a salad and have it ready for you, and you go to pick it up. They work very, very hard to make sure that students are feeling safe and they're able to get their food and still the choices that they want while maintaining all of the COVID compliance so that we can stay on campus and, as Marcus mentioned, still be able to see your friends, even though it's socially distanced, making sure that you still are able to make those connections and feel that it's as normal as it can be given the circumstances. One more question about dining before we kind of pivot. Can you add more money to your card? You can always add more money to your card throughout the entire semester. And again, if you don't use it, it rolls over. It does only work at places on campus, but that includes any Jasmine's or any other kind of retail area as long as it's associated with Sodexo and our Binghamton University Dining Services or BUDS. So if you are in a nursing program and you're at our health sciences campus or you're at our downtown center, we do have Jasmine's there. And you could still use your dining hall card there as well. So anywhere on campus that is part of that BU dining system, you can use your dining dollars, and they will be useful wherever you are on campus. Let's see, Marcus, this is a kind of a more specific question, but where would students usually hang out with those residence hall regulations being changed due to pandemic? Did you find that there were specific places that you happened to hang out more that you maybe wouldn't have pre-COVID, or other kind of adjustments that you made?
Right. So the underground union that we showed earlier, they moved the furniture all around, so everything was oriented and well positioned where you would be able to see your friends, like I said, 6 feet apart. Another thing that they did for the dining halls is because capacity would have been extremely limited if they just did indoor seating, they actually put up tents outside just because the weather was really nice this semester, and they moved tables around out there so you could be able to see your friends were easy. So we actually spent a lot of time outside eating at those tables and just hanging out. Yep.
Great. Another question here. Some things Binghamton has to keep their students and campus safe. So safety is a big thing for us. All of our residence halls are locked 24 hours a day. Students have an ID card that only allows you to enter the residence hall that you live in. So you swipe that card and you will enter that residence hall. Otherwise, it's 24 hours a day locked. And that card also gets you into your dorm room as well as the bathroom. There are some common spaces. I know there was a question question about cooking, and there is like a common kitchen area on the first floor of each residence hall that students can use as well. But we want to make sure everyone is safe and secure. We also have what's called a blue light system. So anywhere on campus you are, if you turn your head in a 360-degree circle, as we were doing with those pictures, you will see at the very least one blue light. And if you go over to that blue light and there's a phone attached to it, it will connect you directly to our university police, and they will be able to come meet you, escort you back to your dorm, escort you to your vehicle, wherever it is you feel that you need to go. If you're feeling unsafe, or if you have any mental health issues, they will connect you with one of our university counseling center. We have counselors who are available 24/7. So we really value our students' mental health as well as our physical well-being as far as safety is concerned. And Binghamton itself is a very safe community. So I think Aaron alluded to that, and Marcus as well. Students feel very safe on campus. But in addition to that, we want to make sure that you see that safety and that presence as well. We do have security cameras in all of our dorms, but the university police are not only New York State police, but they're specifically trained to work with university students and problems that arise in a university student population, so that they can work with those specific students as well and make sure that they have the resources to help our specific students as university students. So something that we find is very, very important for our students, and we want to make sure that we recognize is student safety. So that's definitely something that is important to us. It looks like we've got just a couple more minutes. So Marcus and Aaron, maybe we can wrap up by asking you, what are your favorite things at Binghamton, maybe favorite things outside of Binghamton as well, but something that's made the biggest impression on you during your time at Binghamton and made you stay at Binghamton, or just a great anecdote that you have that you'd like to share.
I can go first on that. Like when you think of college, it's the whole moral of it is to set yourself up for the future. And I know a lot of colleges say that and they promise a bunch of things, but how much they deliver on that is to be determined. But as a second year student, I already feel like I am quickly approaching that point of being a professional and being employable. Like I said, I was a part of the first year research immersion program, which is one of 4 programs like it in the entire nation. So I already have all this research experience. I know with the other resources on campus, like the Fleischman Career Center, they help me set up my resume and CV. So I already feel like I'm quickly approaching that point of setting myself up for where I want to be in the future at such an early point, which I feel so privileged to feel. And it just helps me reassure myself that I definitely made the right decision coming to Binghamton.
Great. Aaron?
I think one of the best parts about Binghamton is that it's a place where you can really figure out who you are. When I first came to campus, I had an idea of what I wanted to do for a major, but I wasn't really an outdoorsy person. I kind of holed into my room. I didn't really have too many friends. But once I came to Binghamton, I was able to meet people through all of the different programs that I was in. I was also enrolled in the FRI program back in my freshman year. I got involved in the Friends of the Nature Preserve, all kinds of different clubs, which is a very good idea if you're a freshman, get involved in as many clubs as possible. But I feel like coming to this university specifically made me the person I am today. I am a much more active person. I feel I actually enjoy being outdoors now, which high school me would scoff at. I have made so many new friends, and a lot of those friends I know are going to stick with me for life. And outside of just knowing that I'm going to have a future with all of the experiences that Binghamton offers you, like with the Fleischman Center and the research opportunities that they offer you really early on, it also just sets you up for a happy future as well. So you know that you're going to just leave campus a better person than you were before you came.
Great. Thank you so much, Erin. So I think that's about all the time we have. I know we do have some other questions here. I would encourage you, if you do want to speak with us one-on-one about a specific program or have specific questions, we actually do have counselor chat hours later today, even from, I believe, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. If you'd like to meet, I myself will be on there, or others of our counselors will be on there as well. And I know, Marcus, you were going to maybe share the email for the student clubs. So if you have any questions for Marcus directly, or if you want to, talk with them more about student specific questions, he's going to share that in the chat. And Stephanie and I have both shared the link to that Campus 360 tour that we just viewed here. So we would really encourage you to save that link. Check out the places that we didn't visit. I know we've got pictures of our engineering buildings, the inside of our science buildings. We didn't quite touch on a lot of those. Those are a little more in-depth to a specific maybe STEM major, but if you're interested in those, by all means, we would definitely encourage you to visit those places in that Campus 360 tour, as well as the stories that go along with it. Our president recorded a story kind of to kick things off, and then we've got an explanation of just what the different stops are on the tour, and kind of what makes Binghamton unique, and the explanation of those different tour things to really get the experience of a tour at Binghamton. So again, thank you so much, Erin and Marcus, for joining us and giving us your experiences as current students. Stephanie, thank you so much for helping us with moving through those pictures and for answering the questions. We hope that this didn't feel too much like a presentation, but more just felt like showing you around campus, something that we're all very proud of, to be Binghamton alumni or current Binghamton students, and to just share our experiences with you. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Please feel free to reach out to us. Steph, you have something to add?
Yes, just really quickly, before we ended this, I wanted everybody to make sure that they checked out the chat box. I did provide some important links to our admissions homepage, as well as our admissions visit page, as well as our counselor calling contact line that you can reach out to us Monday through Friday during business hours. So definitely check out the visit page. You can sign up for more open house events for the remainder of the week. This is just the beginning of open house for this week, so there's a lot more to be seen. So you'll see us counselors again and other counselors presenting on a variety of different topics that we're excited to kind of talk about. So definitely check that out, register for more events, reach out to us during normal business hours, or Zoom link, our counselor calling line. There's a student Zoom link that you can reach out to on Wednesdays, and take advantage of all these wonderful offerings we have for you during
We
this.
love to talk. That's what we're here for, to chat with
As
you
you can
and
tell.
to answer all your questions. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye guys, take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.